2023 TEGIWA Type R Trophy is about to get underway when the red lights go out, which they do now. And it's a good start by Trafford King from the second row of the grid. He's got already past the very slow starting Daniel Chapman there. Chapman's lost about 4 or 5 places. It's Joe Jessup, though, that has the lead at the moment. It looks like Matt Digby is into second place. That's Trafford King with his wheels through the gravel at the first corner. And it's Mitchell Hale that's trying to go through on the inside into third position. The 21 car running right wide there is Mars Nathaniel James from the third row of the grid. But it's been a good start this for Joe Jessup.
Yeah, both he and Matt Digby have gapped the field somewhat, and then everybody else files their way through the chicane, pretty much single file. You can't really go side by side there, but into Tower Corner you can challenge, and Daniel Chapman here trying to gain positions. He's side by side with Matt Wilkins, who gets run out a bit wide. Wilkins started 7th, where Chapman was on the front row of the grid. That really shows you the poor start there we saw from Daniel Chapman, who finished 4th in the championship last year with a couple of podiums. There's though Mitchell Hale in P3 after he managed to just about keep Miles Nathaniel James at bay through the first turn. There's Samuel Dennis in 95. He's turning his way through just ahead of James Mansell and Ursula Jordan involved in that battle as well.
Yep, they are indeed, and that's a little bit further down the order. The leaders I can see behind us in the country box already arriving at the complex, and it is Joe Jessup leading from Matt Digby in second place. Mitchell Hale is third, Trafford King is fourth, Daniel Chapman fifth after that poor start, and he is, I can see out of our window, is trying to make a move on fourth position. But then just look at the size of this field that is still streaming through the complex.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant, isn't it, to have here for the opening round of the season. Some drivers don't like having all the way up to Croft, but obviously in the Type R Trophy we've got this really large grid here, which is great. It's all happening today as well for the Type R Trophy. 2 races today. So there's quite a big gap there developed in there between 8th and 9th, I think. Samuel Dennis there in P9, who has a big gap ahead of him, and I think has the whole field just behind him.
Yeah, indeed. Meanwhile, in the lead of this race, it's Joe Jessup by more than 1 second already at the end of the first lap, and it's a similar sort of gap back to Mitchell Hale in third position. Hale with the cars queuing up behind him, and there they are now, including that of Trafford King with the novice cross on the back of his car, and the more experienced Daniel Chapman. Matt Wilkins, number 86, is in 6th position, 4th of this particular group. But it's that Hertz liveried car of Mitchell Hale then that's heading now through Barcroft and up towards Sunny for the second time in this race. A lock up there from Hale, and it's Chapman that's slotted to the inside line through the first part of Sunny. He's got alongside Trafford King there, and he's still alongside now. Matt Wilkins trying to go with him as well, and those two still side by side as they head back down to the complex.
Conor Murphy getting involved as well. It's 2 by 2 here as they turn their way through, but it is in third position then still just Mitchell Hale ahead of Trafford King. So I think they're still in the same order somehow than they were a half a lap ago, despite all that side-by-side activity. But Mitchell Hale driving very defensively here in what I think will be his first race in a front-wheel drive car. But he certainly hasn't got the pace of the top 2 because they are well gone at the end of 2 laps.
They certainly are. Yes, the gap from first to second is 2.1 seconds. Then there's another 4 seconds back from second to third. So you sense here that Mitchell Hale is doing a good defensive job, but is he holding up the likes of Trafford King and Daniel Chapman, Matt Wilkins and Conor Murphy also in that group? Conor Murphy in the car that Danny Hobson had a win in at Donington last year. And then there's another gap, quite a big gap back to the next group, isn't there? Which is the group that involves Samuel Dennis in 9th place. Over, there you go, towards Tower Corner once again. And it is up through the right-hander there, and off up to the left-hand right-hander at the Jim Clark S's. And Hale still there in third place, but this train of cars piling the pressure on him.
Yes, and with experience in genetic juniors, he knows how to defend. He hasn't forgotten about that. And now that he's had a few corners not on a defensive line, he has started to put a little bit of space between himself and King. Out wide there goes Matt Wilkins, and he loses potentially 6th place there to Conor Murphy. Can Conor Murphy complete this move as they get down here into the complex? and he can. So Conor Murphy then into 6th position, the driver from Dublin who only started racing a couple of years ago and always has been in the Type R Trophy. Got a podium I think last year, moved up into 6th place as Mitchell Hale in that Hertz liveried car turns its way through. Still here in 3rd position. Lead gap is still 2.7 seconds, and then Mitchell Hale's that much better that time, similar to Matt Digby's. Now, as I say, he's not defending quite as heavily as he was on the previous lap, but there's Conor Murphy, who we're just talking about, another of the DH Racing cars, who's there in 6th place now after gaining a position just a few corners ago.
Best lap of the race so far to Joe Jesper, 1:36.61, the race leader. That's just about 1.8 seconds outside the lap record set by Jake Hewlett last year. Lock up there from the 41 car, which is that of Mitchell Hale, and Trafford King I thought was going to make the most of that, but he couldn't. He went around the outside, but ended up on the grass. He's lost 2 places there. It looks like both Daniel Chapman and I think Conor Murphy have gone through to take the place. Yeah,
now we've got the more experienced Daniel Chapman behind Mitchell Hale. We'll see if he can make anything of an overtake, because I was saying a lap ago he wasn't defending, he is defending again. It's Mitchell Hale and Daniel Chapman looks up the inside into the second part of Sunny, but he couldn't quite do that, so he gave it a shot there. Remember, Daniel Chapman did qualify in the front row of the grid, but made that poor start, dropped down to 6th or 7th position early on, but has worked his way back up into 4th place now. Somebody else who is moving up the order is Jeff Humphreys. Remember, we spoke about him from the back of the grid. He's up into the top 15 now, but it's side by side for 3rd. Round the outside into the final corner comes Daniel Chapman. Can he get the cutback coming out of the corner? He can't. So once again, defending, Mitchell Hale is hanging on to 3rd place. But again, challenging is Daniel Chapman to the outside into Clairvaux, into turn 1. Can he get the cut back out the corner? He gives it a go, but again, Mitchell Hale dives to the inside. It's quite an aggressive defensive moves here from Mitchell Hale. We haven't yet really had somebody properly alongside of him, or where we had. We saw in that last lap where Trafford King got onto the grass, however that happened.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ross Borman is now leading the 2nd group, isn't he? He's up to 9th, so he's been gaining positions because he qualified down on the 11th row of the grid, so that's been a good drive.
He's about 10 seconds behind this group of cars, though, so I'm not sure he's going to make up too many more positions unless there's a problem within this group. Still, Mitchell Hale driving that extremely wide Civic EP3 with Daniel Chapman just behind and Conor Murphy behind him, and then Trafford King in 6th position. Gap between 1st and 2nd, by the way, just going out steadily. That's more than 3 seconds now, so you're not missing too much by not seeing the leaders on the live stream at the moment. This really is where the action is, from 3rd back to 8th place. 6 cars involved in this scrap. Jeff Humphreys up to 13th place now, by the way. Joe Delgado, someone we thought might be troubling the sharp end, I think, only 16th.
Yes, the MG Trophy champion from last year, Joe Delgado, and his main competitor from last year also has moved on. I mean, struggling in the championship they were involved in elsewhere, so that's interesting to see. Similar types of cars to the MG ZRs he raced before. As you can see there, we're watching the battle a little bit further down the order.
13th.
Yeah, I think so. And off the circuit there, it's gone 93, which is Joe Delgado, who we were just speaking about, and he has somehow ended up on the grass. So he wouldn't have raced at Croft before, would he? Because the MG Trophy hasn't come here, so perhaps that's an excuse in his locker. But otherwise, you'd expect him to get higher up the order, but now he's been off the road as well.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, have we seen him in something here before? But maybe I'm making that up. Anyway, we continue on with this race, which has got 6 minutes or so left to go. We are now on to lap 6 of the race. That is the 116 car we could see of Matthew Morgan. Josh?
Mitchell Hale's been off at Tower, so after defending for so long, I've just seen this out the commentary box window into Sunny. He's lost 1 position, so Daniel Chapman's got through. This is the battle for 10th, which I think we've still got reverse grids, haven't we, in Type R Trophy this year, so this is for pole position for later on. It's Ursula Jordan who's currently there in P10, but she's got Samuel Dennis and Jeff Humphreys involved. Here's the battle for 4th as Mitchell Hale tries to keep the rest of them behind him, and it's Conor Murphy who tries to go around the outside, bumper to bumper, as Matt Wilkins is going to try and drive around the outside of both of them as they turn here down towards the complex. You've got Nathaniel James and King as well involved in this. Who's going to come out on top, Ian?
I'm not quite sure. We've got Daniel Chapman having escaped from this, though. He's there in third place, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, right together. Murphy going to the outside line, but that's for the left-handed hairpin, and he can't surely go all the way around the outside there. Leaves the door open, possibly, for Matt Wilkins, number 86, to go from the inside line, but he can't make it work. They come through to complete lap 6, then 5 minutes of the race left to go. They are 13 seconds behind the... no, in fact, a little bit less than that behind the race leader. Actually about 13 seconds behind the race leader, this group. But actually now about 4 seconds behind Daniel Chapman, who's made his escape.
Yeah, you can see the last lap times on your screen there. We get the gaps up for you later on in the weekend. But what you can see from the gaps is Daniel Chapman is the fastest person on the circuit. He's lapping a second quicker than Matt Digby. And because of Mitchell Hale's extreme defensive driving, Ross Borman is going a couple of seconds quicker than him. So you didn't think he'd gain any more position, but he's still quite a long way behind. But if he defends like this for the rest of the race, he might well do. Has Conor Murphy got into Mitchell Hale? I don't think so, but he got pretty close there. Both slow out of the corner, so Matt Wilkins is coming up next. It feels a bit like a Janetta Junior race, doesn't it? How this is turning out, but only the one place lost so far from Mitchell Hale in this very aggressive defence. But Conor Murphy lost out there, Ian.
Yeah, it's a Miles Nathaniel James in the 21 car who has gone up to 6th position. Therefore, and almost giving a bit of a friendly tap there to Mitchell Hale was the 86 car of Matt Wilkins. There's one that's into the pit lane. That's the James Mansell OnlyFans backed car, and he is seemingly out of the race. We'll continue to look at this battle though for 4th position, 4th back to 8th here. It's still Mitchell Hale in the position, and locking up at the back of that group there was the 42 car of Trafford King, as we get the checkered flag actually, so the race ending a little bit early, possibly because of that extra green flag lap that we did. So it is a win for Joe Jessup in the opening round of the TEGIWA Type R Trophy. 2nd place going the way of Matt Digby, and Daniel Chapman then got up to 3rd place, pretty much in the nick of time.
With the fastest lap as well, by 0.6 of a second, so a massively impressive time there. By Daniel Chapman. So it's just that poor start that let him down. For 4th position, Mitchell Hale did hang on, Ian.
He did indeed, and he will have been relieved to see the checkered flag, I would think. Matt Wilkins, 86, took 5th, then Miles Nathaniel James in 6th, Conor Murphy 7th, and Trafford King took 8th. A blanket finish you could see over the line for the minor placings, but 9th was Ross Borman, and 10th was Ursula Jordan, so she'll be well placed for the reverse grid later on today. Samuel Dennis was 11th, Jeff Humphries 12th, then Joe McMullen, Matthew Morgan, Jake Johnson and Tim Adams 16th.
Yeah, one of the cars involved in that 3 abreast across the line was Joe Delgado, who had bits hanging off his car. Bit like MG Trophy racing there.
Yeah, he's getting into the swing of things, certainly, isn't he? In this, there's Joe Jessup though, having won the first race of the season. He was a winner here at Croft last season as well. He had a good start to the year with that win. He also followed that up with a win at Alton Park in the second meeting last year, but then had electrical dramas in the second race at Alton, and that probably was part of his undoing in last year's championship as well, of having to miss that round last year. But Joe certainly setting his stall out in very confident fashion, but I somehow doubt that all of the races are going to be quite that easy for him.
No, he was obviously helped with Daniel Chapman's poor start, who proved to be a lot quicker than him during the course of the race. Okay, Chapman was pushing on where Joe Jessup was perhaps just managing himself, but a lot of it was involved in that battle behind, wasn't it, where I think it's fair to say Mitchell Hale was being very aggressive in keeping drivers behind. So we're not really sure what the type of pace we might see from others. And of course we've got reverse grid races, so that's going to mix things up in the second race of weekends. And there's new drivers who will get quicker, I'm sure. Matt Wilkins did well, didn't he? One of the newcomers to get 5th position there from 7th on the grid, and I think at one stage he was off the track as well, so he made a good recovery. And then there's people like Jeff Humphries, who came through the field well, who was impressive. But let's have a look at the full finishing order of our first race.
Yeah, so Joe Jessup it was that took the win after 7 laps of racing. Matt Digby, number 97, took 2nd place. Daniel Chapman 3rd, salvaging it after that poor start in the 104 car. 4th was 41 Mitch Hale, driving that very wide Honda Civic Type R. 5th was 86 Matt Wilkins. He made up ground towards the end, got ahead of Miles Nathaniel James and Conor Murphy. Trafford King, after that off at Tower, dropped back a little bit to 8th place in the number 42 car. Then the next group, that was headed by number 66 Ross Borman, from 94 Ursula Jordan, Samuel Dennis, was 11th in 95, then 12th number 5 Jeff Humphries, 13th number 11 Joe McMillan, and 14th was the 116 car of Matthew Morgan. And further back, we've got Jake Johnson, Tim Adams up from towards the back of the grid, Oliver Musgrave, Tim Necklin, Adam Parsonage, Joe Dalgano, the MG Trophy champion, rounding out the top 20. And a little bit further back onto the final screen, we can see that we did in fact lose James Mansell towards the end of that race. We had 31 starters, a good number of finishes, and we're looking forward to an excellent second TEGIWA Type R Trophy race towards the end of the day. But we've got the drivers heading down the pit lane towards Parc Ferme. I think possibly already we've had our top 3 stop at the appointed point, so we'll head down to Chris Stevens in the pit lane for the first time today.
Well, what an absolutely cracking start to the racing action here at Croft. But the man who was ahead of all of it was Joe Jessup. Joe, a cracking start to another title challenge, hopefully.
Yeah, really good start. Couldn't hope for better. First pole position this morning, which was great. And I just thought if I get my head down, try and get a bit of a gap, and then I could sort of manage the race from there. But yeah, the car was faultless. DH Racing have put out such a good car for me this year. So yeah, it felt really good.
It seemed like the start was pretty key. You and Matt seemed to just pull away pretty effortlessly.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get the best of starts. I could see Matt right up my bumper, but yeah, after a couple of laps, settle into a rhythm. I could see that we were sort of pulling away, so I just wanted to sort of keep that distance between me and Matt and finish the race in first position.
Obviously, we've got a huge shift in the drivers this year. A lot of newcomers. Are you expecting any of them to mount a challenge to you this season?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, there's some really quick guys who've joined the grid. We've been out testing with them over winter, and they seem really fast and really quick. So I think it'll be another competitive year.
And of course, we've got the top 10 reverse grid race coming up as well. How do you think you'll fare there?
I think it just depends on what happens in front of me. I think I'll try and get another good start and see where we go from there.
Well, congratulations, starting off the season in superb fashion. We'll let you go and celebrate with the team. So in second place was number 97, Matt Digby. Yep, hi. So Matt, you seem to get a pretty good start there, but just weren't quite able to challenge there.
No, as I said, I was one of the best starts I've ever had, and I thought I just want to get out of it before everyone else starts catching.
Is there a possibility you'll be able to get him in the reverse grid race?
Yeah, probably not, but we'll give it a go.
Obviously, it's a great start to the season for both of you guys, starting 1 and 2. Are you going to be mounting a title challenge?
Yeah, I'm not here just for the numbers. I want to win it, ideally.
All right, perfect. Well, we wish you all the best for race number 2 later on. And then, of course, in third place was Daniel Chapman. There you are. Hello. So it wasn't a great start, but you fought your way back up onto the podium.
Yeah, no, it bogged on the start, and then it was just all to do. But we pushed through and come back with the podium, so where we need to be. You
were looking down the back of Hale there. He seemed to be using all of his Ginetta Junior experience in defence. How was it going up against him?
Oh, it was hard to get past. He made it a wide car. It was a proper wide car. But we found a gap and it came off.
So what are we expecting for the rest of the season then? Are you going to be fighting up the front with these boys all season long?
That's the plan. So hopefully just keep bringing back high positions and keep the points coming in, and hopefully it'll come good at the end.
Reverse grid race coming up later. Any predictions for that one?
Just get off the start and then just deal with it. I think that's where I need to practice. But yeah, it went well.
Anything you can do between now and then to look at the start and see what you can improve?
No, I think it was just myself. I think I just messed it up, but it'll come good. More time in the car, it's always going to get better, isn't it?
Awesome. Well, we wish you all the best for race number 2.